Welcome to Live Action Star Wars. My name is James.
I'm Ralph.
And today we are talking about Return of the Jedi, the last movie in the original trilogy, the second one that we're covering.
Right.
This is our
as
last...
Ed mentioned we haven't even dipped into the sequel trilogy yet.
No, we haven't. It was weird because I was trying to sort of spread it around, but we've been in sort of the build up to Book of Boba Fett season, like unofficially for the last few episodes. And I was like, what haven't we covered that has Boba Fett in it? This film. And I thought it'd be nice, this as our last episode before we go into our live format next week with Book of Boba Fett. So I thought, let's cover a favorite movie everyone loves, Return of the Jedi. Not everyone, but I do.
I love it. It kind of sucks because it flips around in my rankings, as far as because I love Solo so much. But Jedi, you watch it and you're like, but this is like one of three movies where you get these three characters together.
Yeah.
And even the last movie, Empire Strikes Back, you don't get them together like that much. You get like one or two scenes.
It's one of those reasons why I love those early Endor scenes, like when the three of them are all together, like even like in on the shuttle Tidarium, and when they first get there, and like it's the play between the three of them, but not the bickering that they had in A New Hope, or like the distrust. It's like at this point they're a well-oiled machine. They're the crew. They know each other. They love each other. Like they're all good.
You think it's funny that Han Solo volunteered for the Endor mission without letting Princess Lando?
Yeah, or Chewie. Like, because he didn't want to speak for Chewie. Like, that's why. Like, Chewie's like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, of course I'm gonna come with you."
Yeah, I guess so. I just thought it was funny, and then I guess her status in the rebellion isn't as great.
It doesn't feel like it. It feels, but I feel like that is something that you could headcanon up to the fact that she's been so encompassing, like with trying to find Han and rescue Han, that she sort of she is still like one of the higher ups, but like on the boots on the ground, like dealing with missions, creating plans and battle plans and things like that. She's not been as involved because she's been focused on rescuing Han. And so she sort of said like, General Madine, Admiral Akbar, like you guys sort it. And then Mon Mothma's there in person. Whereas before this, it feels like she's always been like the shadowy figure who sort of is de facto leader of the rebellion. But
yeah, she feels more like an executive.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think it was her and Bail, maybe another person, but like her and Bail, obviously no more Bail, so Leia sort of assumes Bail's spot. I got the impression. But yeah, now it's kind of she's the one who's like, she's the one who they will put into power when they seize control from the Empire. Right. She can be like the political figurehead.
Right. Much like our Empire episode, I took notes. And it's just things that I kind of thought were interesting. And the first note I took was the C-3PO line on Tatooine. Lando and poor Chewbacca never returned from this place.
Always threw me as a kid.
But C-3PO seems dismissive of Lando, but says that poor Chewbacca. But
he's also not there. Like Chewie's not there yet. That's what always threw me as a kid. I was like, but Chewie arrives later. Chewie's not there yet. Why is he talking about Chewie being there? I didn't, and it's like last time we saw Lando and Chewie, they were leaving together. So I guess maybe, but then surely 3PO would know about the plan, and
well, he would definitely know about like Princess Leia's plan.
You'd think,
which involves Chewie.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
it's weird. It feels like there's some deleted scenes or some alternate version of it. Like it's how I always chopped it up.
Even as a kid, I never enjoyed this plan. I never liked this characters coming into Jabba's palace one at a time.
It feels like 3 or 4 different plans.
Yeah.
Like there's obviously you've got Lando infiltrating, okay, fine, that can help like establish something as all the other plans. You've got like 3PO and R2 coming in.
Mm.
Sure, okay. Then you've got Leia and Chewie. Then you've got Luke, and it's like, I don't get it. I still can't get my head around why. It's interesting, and you do get the nice reveal of every character in turn, but yeah, as a plan, as far as rescue plans go, don't make a lot of sense to me.
I would have liked a storming the castle nighttime raid.
That would be cool.
Like with like Luke and the rebellion.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
It
or
would
even
pack
like
a punch.
I mean, here you go. Like not Luke, but Leia and Chewie storm the castle with like, I don't know, some people. Lando maybe is already embedded. They get captured. It goes wrong. They get captured. That's how Leia and Chewie are then captives, and Luke has to come in and save the day in Luke's way. And maybe Luke is the one trying to do some negotiating, which he does. Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting alternate take on it. It's weird because the Jabba's Palace stuff is the stuff that even critics of this film seem to like the most.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I mean, I like the stuff in it. I like all the creatures in it.
I think it's my favorite creature stuff in the original trilogy.
Yeah, it's all fun, but I guess it's like, I don't know. It just, I feel like they're just showing off the creatures.
Yeah,
like there's like we're building this thing. Let's have scenes with all these creatures in it.
For me, when I watch Return of the Jedi now, I find myself, I've seen this movie hundreds of times, and I love it to bits, all of it. But I do find myself when I just chuck it on now going, let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the Luke and Vader and the space battle side of things, because that's my favorite stuff in this movie.
Well, what's crazy is I was pulling the artwork for our thumbnail for the video, and I was looking for a shot of the shuttle Tidarium with everybody, where we get to see every character in one shot. And I didn't realize how soon that comes in the movie. Like, I always think of Endor as the end of the movie, but it's something like 40 minutes in. It's on the shuttle Tidarium. It's
earlier than halfway, isn't it? It's like
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I always think of like the briefing scene before they go off to Endor as sort of like the halfway point of the film.
Right. It's totally not.
It's not. It's like the end of Act
40 minutes. It's like 40 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it really is the beginning of Act 2, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
So you made some notes. For the first time since we started this podcast, I didn't rewatch. I didn't do the homework. I didn't rewatch this movie. I've seen it a few times this year already, but I'm seeing it as we're recording this. I'm seeing it this Friday coming up with a live orchestra. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'll wait. I'll watch it then. I want to watch it. I want that to be my next viewing experience of the film. So if there's anything in particular about that, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to love it. I'm sure it's going to be great, but I might do like a little bonus reaction episode at the end of that, or just record something.
Yeah. So this is how I watch Return of the Jedi, and I have for a while. I have the DVD version, with none of the special edition stuff on it. I put that on and I watch it up until Jedi Rocks. And then after Jedi Rocks, I flip over to the iTunes version and watch the 4K the rest of the way. Okay.
You mean you watched the one with Lapty Neck?
Yeah. Up until... Yeah. So once Jedi Rocks is done, I'll watch the
Lapty Neck
4K version.
Yeah.
So, because I like the blinking Ewoks. I think the blinking Ewoks are so cool.
I don't get why people freak out about it. It's like
it makes it look so much better.
It does.
And I'm sure it was a pain of all the special edition sort of editions that had to have been the most pain in the ass. I think that came along in the 2008 Blu-rays.
Yeah, that wasn't
But
special
still,
edition, was it? That was the Blu-ray thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but still, it makes them look more like creatures than masks. But anyway, watching the old version for the opening scenes, you get Jabba speaking Huttese, and they put the subtitles below in the letterbox, and I miss that.
Yeah, if you've got a letterbox, use it for those sorts of things.
Right.
I can't remember what version of it. It was one of the DVDs. It might have just been whatever player I was using it on, but I feel like there was a version of it that I had, because this film's got the most subtitles of any of the original trilogy.
Right.
Like before that, it was just the Greedo scene, I believe, was the only scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the stuff with Jabba, obviously, we've got subtitled, and I remember one of the versions in the 2000s that I was watching. For whatever reason, the subtitles weren't automatic. And so I just ended up not bothering, because I knew what was being said. I just didn't bother putting it on. And it was like I was just watching it without, and I was piecing together the dialogue myself from memory and from context. And I was like, it works. You don't necessarily need it all the time.
Right. And you have 3PO translating.
Yeah. Anything pertinent. Yeah.
But yeah, the original trilogy VHS set and I believe the THX VHS set both had the subtitles in the black bar on the letterbox, and I believe they were in yellow, like Star Wars yellow.
Yeah.
Which can't beat it.
No,
can't beat it. Now it's all like because this time around I was watching I just watched the 4K version. I did not watch the Loptinek version, and yeah, the subtitles are in frame. With that sort of dark like overlay and then the words on top of it, which is fine. I know like on iTunes, if you double tap the pad, it'll get rid of the letterbox and zoom in. So I understand that's why they're there. But at the same time, I kind of miss that yellow.
I do. It's something that I've missed from all of them, because that's sort of classic Star Wars subtitles for me.
There's I'm trying to think of this because again, I watched the special edition version. Watched Jedi Rocks this time around. Not good. No, it's my least favorite thing in all of the special edition changes, easily, hands down. I don't even care about the Han Greedo thing as much as Jedi Rocks.
I think Jedi Rocks is the most egregious and worst. It's the most 1997. It looks like something from Men in Black.
Yeah. She looks like Mikey, sliced noodles. We mentioned this in the last one with R2 saying you're lucky to get out of there versus you're lucky you don't taste very good. In this version, when Han is hanging over the side of the skiff and he says, "Don't worry, I can see a lot better." It used to be, "Don't worry, trust me."
Yeah.
And that's it.
I think it was, "Don't worry, I can see a lot better." Then it got changed to "Don't worry, trust me." And now it's back to "Don't worry, I can see a lot better."
I like "Don't worry." I think "Don't worry, trust me" I like more. I think that's on the VHS. I want to say that's on the VHS. Maybe. There's something about it that feels more Han Solo, just him saying
just trust me. Yeah.
Him giving
I might have gone the I might have just been
I know there's two of them.
Yeah. It's they're the two dialects.
Which edition has what?
Maybe it was in 97 or around there that it changed to "I can see a lot better." But yeah, it was always one that threw me as well, because I was like, hang on, that's not what he says. And like,
and also he doesn't give excuses.
No, and like the lip sync on it doesn't quite line up either. I don't feel like.
I don't think it ever did.
I know. I mean, it's all Lady R, but yeah. It's weird. It is a weird one. I remember in the preview and like all the promo material for the special edition in 97, there was one really cool striking image of like a bunch of B-Wings during the Battle of Endor. Like flying in. I think the Death Star is behind them. It's got like quite a reddish hue to it. It was on there was one shot of it on like a Tazo, which is like a Pog knockoff Pog thing, around that time, and I just remember it distinctly from that. But it was in like magazines and stuff, and I remember being excited to go and see it. I went and saw that one with my dad, and being excited because I always loved that space battle, but then to see more of it and to see some B-Wings in action and stuff like that, I was like, that's gonna be cool, because I had a B-Wing toy, and it just wasn't there, and I was like, oh, disappointing. I thought that was one of the things that they were going to chuck into the special edition, but apparently not.
No, I'm not the biggest B-Wing fan.
I think I am
Star Wars Land.
Yeah, I think I am, because it's sort of the elusiveness of it. It's like we never actually see them. We see one in the hangar in this film, which is possibly my favorite matte painting. Is that hangar? Just that wide shot when you see like the space bit in the background and the Falcon in the foreground here. It's one that I could freeze frame and just stare at that all day. I love that shot. But yeah, we see that one, and then like it feels like they were always around in marketing material and stuff, and the toy was really cool. But yeah, like I think that's why I like B-Wings, but I'm not the biggest B-Wing fan.
Yeah, I want to say that that shot, that matte painting, something was off in that matte painting in the VHS version. Like if you look at, I'll put up the stuff here.
Yeah.
Just to show the difference. But I want to say it's a nice and clean matte painting when you watch the 4K version, or I'm assuming the Disney Plus version as well. But yeah, I remember on the VHS,
the 4K one.
The VHS version, in the lower corner there was an X-wing, and for some reason the wing of the X-wing was like off.
Oh, really?
Like it was some sort of like editing thing, and I always remember seeing it when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna bust out my my VHS copies. I'm gonna do screenshots of that, and I'm gonna put that here, and I'll circle the part that I remember being sort of off,
yeah.
And then I'll post the 4K one somehow. The Disney Plus version, I could grab a screenshot and I'll put that there next to it and see if it's been fixed. But I always swore that it was there, and then at one point it was fixed.
Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? When they go in and tinker with these films, it's like, no, there's this, but then it's gone. It's like Ghost Luke in A New Hope. Like, you know about Ghost Luke?
No.
Oh, when we do A New Hope, I'll bring it up and I'll pull a screenshot. But there's a shot when it cuts to the Lars homestead that there's like a Ghost Luke in one of the doorways. It's like when you see it, you'll never not see it. And it's still there. As far as I'm aware, it's still there on the Disney Plus one.
I remember that I do know that like in the Falcon, they clearly used a later shot sooner where you see Obi-Wan walking in the back. You see a shadow walking in the back hallway. And I'm like, oh, that's when he leaves the cockpit. But later they moved that up.
Yeah.
To a sooner thing. But yeah, I don't know about Ghost Luke. I'm just gonna end up looking it up when we're done. So
I've got the Wikipedia page open for Return of the Jedi here, and it's famous. This film, obviously, we had Evan Kershner direct Empire Strikes Back. This one was Richard Marquand, but it's also one of those films that everyone who sort of knows the behind the scenes, and even when we covered from Star Wars to Jedi, it's still George. This one felt like George was a lot more hands-on than he was with Empire.
Even in our bonus episode, Under the Helmet, they show you footage of George giving direction.
He's directing the director.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't want to deal with actors, but he wants to still control the movie. And you look at it, and Steven Spielberg, David Lynch, and David Cronenberg were all considered to direct, and I believe that Spielberg was going to, but then he didn't because of the DGA rules, I think.
Right.
Because after Empire came out, there was like a lot of George basically had to pay out of pocket to keep the director credits at the end only, because there was some Directors Guild of America stuff.
Like if that's the director's vision, let the director put the credit at the end. It doesn't make sense.
I feel like that rule has changed now, but at the time, they needed to have director's name up front, and he didn't want anything like any credits up front. And I feel like Spielberg was too well established at that point. Lynch and Cronenberg probably the same. But yeah, there was like he basically had paid off so that Irvin Kershner didn't get kicked out of the DGA. But I feel like Marquand maybe wasn't in or was fine with not doing it, and that's why one of the reasons why they went with Marquand. Yeah, it's an interesting one because it doesn't feel like it's got as much snap to it as Empire. Like Empire, everyone talks about how Empire's definitely the best character movie. It's got the best character work, like the one-to-one stuff. All the Han and Leia stuff is key, I feel. This one doesn't have that, but it's just, I mean, for the same reason that you and I both really like Rise of Skywalker, it moves. It just is. Yeah. It just moves at a good clip. It's constant, and it's fun. It's a really fun movie.
Yeah. Something interesting. Speaking of George, Luke tells Yoda that he can't die, and Yoda responds, "Strong I am with the Force, but not that strong."
Yeah,
which is like straight up like referenced in the prequel. Like it's the whole impetus of Anakin Vader becoming Darth Vader is to be able to cheat death. Yeah, and that line, "Sing it now," just completely ties in George's overall vision, whether it was on purpose or not. But it's
I feel like it's I mean, saying it's a retcon makes it sound like a negative, but like when you think about like the word retcon, it's retroactive continuity. It's like that's not a bad thing all the time. Like there can be good retcons, and I feel like that is one of those where, yeah, it probably. I don't think
Green Lantern did it.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. All of the Lantern rings.
It's taking what's there, exploring it.
Yeah, what dialogue have we got in the original trilogy? And how does that fit with the themes that I want to do for this prequel trilogy? And how can I tie those things together nicely? And as we've gone through these films, like there's been a bunch of those things, like whether it be in the prequel movies that we covered or in these ones.
But there's one glaring thing that doesn't match up. That's from Luke's conversation. Well, no, not that. I've always liked that. Because even when I was a kid and knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father, if you go back and watch Obi-Wan tell the story of his father, he takes a big long beat before he does it. And so I was always like, oh,
there's something else there. Yeah.
He did lie to him, which is, and there's something there that shows me he lied to him.
Yeah, like he's pondering it in the moment. He's like,
do I tell him or not?
Yeah. Now is my moment of choice, and it's like he chickens out. Basically, he does chicken out of telling him then because he doesn't think that Luke could handle it.
Yeah, which he couldn't at the time.
Definitely not.
The dialogue between Princess Leia and Luke. Do you remember your mother?
Yeah.
That is the one that I try every time to really make it fit into what's happening, and it always just comes to she talking about her adoptive mother because she doesn't know that Vader's her dad.
No, but she does know that she's adopted because Luke says, "Do you remember your mother, your real mother?"
Got it. Yeah.
So he is asking about, like, at that point they have talked about the fact that she is adopted and that, her adopted family.
Is it a Force thing when she was born?
I feel like that's the yada, 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 Force is the way that you explain it away. I don't like it. And it's why it made me annoyed that in Revenge of the Sith, Leia should have been the firstborn.
Right.
Like she should have had a couple of moments, hell, even if it happened like a little bit earlier, like have them together, not have her die in childbirth, have her die at the end of the film, fine, but have her give birth earlier, have her with Leia, and then give birth to Luke and have Luke be taken away straight away.
Yeah. I think that's
Have
one of
them
the issues
separated so that
like
she's
the
got,
whole,
even if it's like 5 minutes.
yeah, I guess that's the thing, is it's like the whole ending of Reg of the Sith is like almost feels like a montage.
Yeah, a rushed
And
montage.
yeah, and so that's sort of an issue. I'm wondering if there's a longer version. Wondering if there's a longer version of all of those scenes.
Where she gets some time with Leia, at least.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't. It just felt like he didn't. He knew that she had to die, but he didn't know how to kill her.
Yeah,
Is how it completely comes across to me. It's like,
but that's the thing, is what's she didn't have to die in the movie.
no, she could have gone to Alderaan with them.
Right. And then we would have been able to get from the context of this conversation that she died.
She was raised by her mother. Yeah, she was raised by her mother very, very young, like close with the Organa family. And then when she died, they took her in.
Yeah. And then, I mean, just have the Emperor keep the same dialogue, saying she died, you killed her.
Yeah.
And then, because the Emperor's known for lying.
And manipulating Vader. Like, he's been doing it since he met him as a 9-year-old. He's been manipulating that kid.
Right. Speaking of the Emperor, it really cracks me up that the Emperor's tower looks so frail and exposed. I guess that's arrogance.
I think that is. That's the arrogance of come at me. Like, I'm right here. I don't need to hide. What am I hiding from?
Man, what if they just blew the shit out of that tower?
The A-wing that takes out the Executor just flies in and just like hits it halfway up. That's it.
Let me go through this. So again, when I was pulling the shuttle Tidarium image for our thumbnail, this is the first time I've noticed that when we get the first shot of the Tidarium, we see one of the moons, or we see Endor, or we see something that's not what we call Endor.
Yeah, the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah, we see it's a red moon.
Yeah,
it's a red moon behind the shuttle. Is that Endor?
Possibly, like the gas giant. Is Endor a gas giant like Yavin? Like I don't know. It is interesting. Like I mean, it makes it more spacey and fun to sort of have it be the forest moon of Endor. And again, Rise of Skywalker, we've seen one of the other moons of Endor now. Right. That's not the same Endor that we know. It's a different part of the system.
And this whole time I've been like, why do we only see the one thing if it's a moon? And then now we see at least something else in the map painting shots. And I think we see two of them in Caravan of Courage.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I've seen one. I noticed it in space. I'm so fixated on the ship. I never realized that you can see in the background. It's a red moon. And I mentioned before in Star Tours, in the Rise of Skywalker segment where you go to the other moon of Endor what is the Endor moon with the crashed Death Star 2 on it?
I can't remember.
I don't remember either. But in that, you go behind what we see as Endor, the green moon, and you go behind it, and there's like 5 other moons. But yeah, this was the first time I actually know. I'm sure I have had to have noticed it before, but never thought about, that's another part of that system.
It's just there, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the dialogue? It's a trap.
It's fine. I don't hate it.
Why is it a big thing?
It's just, I feel like people just glommed onto it and found it funny. I guess I think it's the lip movements. I think it's just the Mon Cal lip movements, and it's easy to imitate. It's something that people can.
So
it's easy to imitate, and it rhymes with a lot of things.
I guess so. It's strange.
Yeah,
it's so strange to me. It's one of those sort of new Star Wars things. At least for me, I consider it new. I'm sure people have been saying it's a trap for a while. It was just a line of dialogue growing up when I was a kid, and then it started taking this sort of life on its own, which is one of the reasons why I don't like the whole "this is the way" and "I have spoken" stuff. Like,
it's catchphrasing Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
There are certain lines. I said this on Twitter last night that friend of the show Adam Fraser was tweeting about watching Aliens, and he posted a screenshot of Newt saying they mostly come out at night, mostly, and I responded to him just saying that the mostly, just one word, mostly, it gets like shared with certain people, and like my girlfriend and I say it quite often. It would just come up and just like mostly, and it's the way that you say it, and it's like with a pause and then that, and it's one of those. I'm quoting this subtly, and it's the same as like repeating 94. Whenever the number 94 comes up, someone says 94. I'll repeat 94. Thank you, Pete and Alex, for just drilling that into my brain.
You mentioned Docking Bay 94 on the last episode, and both me and Pete mouthed 94 at the same time. We didn't say it. I think Pete didn't say it because he's like, "Oh, I'm on somebody else's show."
He definitely said it. He definitely said it. But there's certain things like that, and it's like I'm not directly quoting all the time. It doesn't need to be a big thing. Like Hello There has got to that point of it's a trap as well now. But for a long time, Hello There was one that you could drop.
Long time.
Long time is exactly. They're easy ones to get away with, but yeah, it's a trap is obvious. And it's like, and this is the way. It's like, don't need it. Subtle,
it's just fascinating how that's like a thing.
There's a line of dialogue just before that always throws me, and I didn't rewatch all of the movie, but I did rewatch a supercut of the space battle, like a 5-minute supercut of just the space battle last night on my phone. And there's a line from Lando that I always misheard. It's when they're approaching the Death Star. It's like he's talking about the shields still being up, and he's like, not getting a reading from the shields. What do you mean they're still up? I'm bored. And I always heard it as I'm bored now. I think it's up
or down.
Up or down, yeah. We should be getting a reading.
We should up or down.
Up or down. Like one or the other. But it's the way he says it. And he says up or down quite quick. And it's like I always heard it as I'm bored now. It's like I'm bored now, I want to attack. Come on, Han.
Yeah, I like that. How could they be jamming us unless they know we're coming?
That's a better line than it's a trap. It's the pause unless they know we're coming.
Yeah. They all figure it out at the same time. Yeah. There's some special effects things that I wrote down in here that baffle me.
Okay.
They're just amazing. The first one is that I'm going to talk about is the lightsaber battle. So when Vader says your sister, and then they start going at it, and it's the tracking shot panning across the Death Star. There's a point where there's a catwalk that is tumbled over, and it's a grate, and it's just sheet metal with a bunch of holes in it, and the lightsabers shine through that. That's an effect. Like they're not real lightsabers. So someone either had to animate the hole through the holes.
I've never thought about it before.
Or they put in some sort of mat that was the shape of that grate. But I was watching that in the 4K, and I'm like, the light's definitely coming through every single hole. Both lightsabers clashing and swinging. I'm assuming they put sort of mat in front of the animation to block out the light. But I'm like, wow.
It's not like now.
That's really good.
They've got to the point now that they're basically shooting natural lightsabers. Like it's in camera. Those lighting effects, because they've got the technology to be able to do it. They're essentially using fancy versions of the Force Effects lightsabers. But then in 1982, when they were filming this, 81, 82, when they were filming this, Yeah, it was just a steel pole, wasn't it? Like, so everything was.
They had to animate behind the grate.
Yeah, that's incredible. I have never
Yeah.
thought of that before. Wow.
Yeah. So that's the one thing. The other one that completely baffles me, and I don't know which came first, was the falling ATST or the tumbling logs. The way that ATST trips on the logs and the logs are shuffling around with the footsteps, like the coordination on that shot, I don't know how they did it. Someone spent a lot of time figuring out how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, was that one a stop motion or was it? I think it was, wasn't it? That was it's a stop motion. But all of that stuff, all of the miniature photography and the stop motion that they used for Endor, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. It looks really good.
People get hung up on like some of the stuff on Endor, but when you think about that side of it, and it's amazing.
My favorite matte painting in this movie is when they first arrive on Endor. And it's a total throwaway matte. Like, didn't need to be there. Didn't notice it until I got the letterbox version. When they're filing out of the shuttle Tidarium,
can see it in the background.
It's just in the background.
I love that.
And it's just there. Yep. And your eye does not go to it. Your eye is fixated on the crew in the foreground.
The foreground. But if you track back the rest of the commandos, they're all there. And
they didn't have to have that matte. They didn't have to.
No.
We know they arrived on the planet. We saw the ship fly towards the planet. They could just be trekking through. But the fact that they put that matte back there, it's like
the less subtle version of it is in Revenge of the Sith on Kashyyyk, when there's the landed like Star Destroyer, like behind, like off the beach, like at the back. It's more obvious, but similar sort of thing.
But someone had to go and paint that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a digital effect. Yeah.
So cool. It's like you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it. But someone's like, all right, I'm going to do it.
The blending of the matte paintings for the landing pad as well, where you've got like the layered things. So you'll have landing pad matte painting or like miniature, wasn't it? I think it was miniature landing pad, stop motion AT, and then like digital effect, stop motion shuttle landing, like all happening like in one shot. So I think it's amazing. I love it. With the actual matte painting stuff is like the Death Star and the antenna in the background. Love it. Love that stuff. Yeah, it's so cool. I think the skybox of Endor is always really good because like having the Death Star looming up there,
right?
And it's a cooler silhouette. Having it still under construction makes it a more interesting sort of thing in the sky to see than just a circle.
Yeah, the uncompleted Death Star I always liked more.
Same.
It had way more personality. Somewhere in there, I guess, is the skyline to San Francisco.
Yeah, that's cool.
In the model, and I've never seen it. I don't know where it is. But somewhere
didn't even know it was there.
Yeah,
just got to keep an eye out for like the Transamerica Pyramid or something.
That's what I look for. That's exactly.
I mean, that's the most iconic.
Yeah, that's what makes that skyline the skyline. Unless you put in like the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that's it. I love that building. I love the Transamerica Pyramid. I remember seeing it when I was a kid, when I was in San Francisco, and I was like 6 years old, and going, "That's a cool building," and sort of being fascinated with it ever since.
I only have one more note.
Go for it.
And it's going to be very, very controversial. So I think we could get into it. I prefer the Hating Christians than Ghost.
Wow.
Yeah. I was watching it last night. Listen, we've lived with the prequels for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
They are as much as part of Star Wars as anything else. As a kid, I did not understand who that guy was with Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Because it didn't look like the dude under the helmet.
No.
And
it's not Sebastian Stan, it's Sebastian Shaw.
Yes.
Sebastian Shaw, yeah. Which would be really interesting now if Sebastian Stan did play Luke. Yeah.
There was something about it when I was watching it this time, and Anakin shows up, and the first thing he does is look over to
Ben and
Obi-Wan
Yoda.
and Yoda and smiles.
Mm.
And then looks up. And there was something about it with all of the stuff coming out with the Obi-Wan series and Ahsoka and hearing Hayden Christensen's coming back. I was like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Because I liked how the Emperor used to look in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
But I was so happy that there's the continuity of him being them getting Ian McDiarmid. And for some reason, I just decided to let it go. And I was like, it didn't bother me this time. I'm like, I think I like this more because I know that Rise of Skywalker undoes some of this stuff in this movie, but it's good that we get that Anakin redemption.
I feel like I should fight you.
Him.
I feel like I should fight you on this because it does feel like it's a hot take. It's a controversial point. But I think I agree with you. Because of that, the fact of, and it plays into what Obi-Wan said. It's like, so what I told you was true from a certain point of view. When he became Darth Vader, he killed Anakin. So that at that age and everything, that's when Anakin Skywalker died. And sort of in the eyes of the Force sort of thing, that's when he died. So when
that's always been the explanation.
Himself, so when he does redeem himself and he becomes a Force ghost, he's going to revert to look like that. Whereas Obi-Wan was still good, like Obi-Wan, so he's going to look like that. Yoda the same. Yeah.
This is the first time I've accepted that explanation. And just because I've lived longer
with it,
maybe with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker than Sebastian Shaw.
So 2005, we're coming up on, it's 14 years at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
No, 2002 was Hayden Christensen.
Well, yeah, it was Hayden Christensen, but
it's
the
been
long
20
hair.
years.
Yeah, Jesus.
And so you figured from
that's nuts.
83 to 2002.
First appearance of Hayden Christensen to
years,
next
right?
appearance of Hayden Christensen is 20 years.
Yeah. So we had 19 years with Sebastian Shaw as Anakin in 2 scenes. And then 19 years and then 20 years with.
And in one of those scenes, he doesn't even have eyebrows. So
that's another change I liked. I don't know why it was in there originally. Was that in the original?
What, the eyebrows?
Special edition?
Or
was it 2008? I think it was 2008.
I think that was one of those weird ones. I feel like this movie, other than the Jabba, is when they sort of did loads of those sorts of tinkering.
Yeah.
What do you think about the final song on Endor? Going from the
since 1997
Yub Nub to
I've preferred this song.
The pamphlets.
Yeah.
I like the pamphlets. It's really nice. It's one of those movies that when I watch it all the way through, it feels like a cathartic release celebration. Like we just did that, guys. Like, let's party, let's have some fun, but like, holy crap, we just did a thing that was big, and now we can have a little cry because it's a celebration. I mean, it's celebrating life. Yeah.
The addition of the other planets, and I want to say Naboo showed up.
Yeah, Naboo showed up in one of the I think it was 2008.
Because I think it was just Tatooine, Cloud City, and Coruscant. Yeah, which in 97 was crazy.
Loved it. I had a Monopoly set from the special editions. I've still got it. It's in my loft. The last 2 places on the board were Coruscant. The last planet was Coruscant, and it was like Imperial Palace and Monument Square were the 2 locations. And I was like, ooh, look at that. That's Coruscant. We haven't been there yet, but I know about it from the Timothy Zahn books.
I know about it from I think one of the Art of books had the Ralph McQuarrie painting.
Yeah. Beautiful painting.
And it looked like the painting. They just
But it
made
wasn't
look like the
named.
painting.
I don't think when Mcquarrie painted it, it wasn't named Coruscant. It was Zan.
Yeah,
that
it was just
named
called
it.
like Imperial City.
Yeah. Or Imperial Center, maybe, because that was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Imperial Capital, something like that. It was Imperial something.
yeah.
Something, I don't know. It was a while ago. All this stuff was a while ago. But yeah, that's like a special edition change I liked.
I like it.
And yeah, 100% on board with Hayden Christensen.
I don't know if I like
he is
how
Anakin.
many people now when I look at it, I don't like how many people were celebrating in Mos Eisley. I think that crowd should have been a bit thinner.
I guess so.
I think it's a bit too busy.
I mean,
show that many people at the Mos Espa arena celebrating. I'd be cool with that. But in Mos Eisley, in downtown Mos Eisley, I feel like it's a bit too big of a party. I don't think they'd care that much.
Yeah.
But the other places, like I feel like Endor, obviously they've just had a battle. Bespin, we can assume, has been under Imperial occupation since Empire. Naboo definitely would be celebrating. But yeah, Tatooine, I don't think they're
Cloud City.
Cloud City, yeah, Bespin, yeah. I think they've been under Imperial occupation, so they're going to celebrate. But I don't think Tatooine is going to give that big of a shit. I think there'll be some people. I think they will be celebrating, but yeah.
My favorite thing about the Tatooine one is the T-16 Skyhopper.
Yeah, love that. Love that.
It's like, oh man, okay, it's so associated with that.
Does the Outrider make another appearance there, like it does as they're going into?
I don't know.
No, because it does when they're going in, when they're driving into Mos Eisley, you can see the Outrider, Dash Rendar's ship from Shadows of the Empire flying out. But I don't. It might be in this one as well. I think it'd be better if we just saw some people coming out and I don't know, like attacking stormtroopers or like beating up on some stormtroopers or something like that. Because we know that they put their heads on spikes on Tatooine.
Was that Tatooine or was that?
No, 5 years after this, when we see it in The Mandalorian.
Was that Tatooine or was that Navarro?
Oh no, that was Navarro, wasn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, you're still Tatooine. Still kind of should be low key, but I mean, I guess it's a big thing. Everyone just stopped what they were doing, and I don't know.
I mean,
I'm fine with that. It's a celebration.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things where it's like not all those celebrations were happening at the same time. Like I feel like Coruscant's celebration was a fair bit later after the Empire had been routed off of Coruscant.
Also, word had to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess
this isn't
immediately,
all...
but
yeah.
Like the Gungans on the rooftops on the dome, like just sitting there.
Yep, that's great. We set free. It's great. I'm fine with that. It's cool. Like, who knows what the situation was like for them under Imperial rule? Probably not great. Despite the fact that their senator is responsible.
Yeah, I mean, poor Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Lovable idiot. And in Star Wars world.
Yeah. But hey, he's coming around. He's gonna be an Obi-Wan. He's gonna be an Obi-Wan, and it's gonna be great.
We'll see.
You won't. I'd love it, but it'd be cool.
If he's gonna show up, that's gonna be the place.
Let's talk briefly about the space battle and why it's my favorite space battle in all of Star Wars. Still is.
Okay.
I watched a supercut of it, and it's, I think one of the reasons is because it is so cohesive. You can follow the action when you cut to Wedge in his cockpit and he's saying like, Red 3, Red 2, fall in sort of thing. Or the cut to the left, I'll take the leader. Cuts to a wide shot. And if you're not really paying attention to the dialogue, it's just space battle dogfight stuff. But when it's like, cut to the left, I'll take the leader, you do see him swoop in, take out the leader. There's another TIE behind him. That's when he does his dip down and the TIE flies into Home 1 or one of the other Mon Cal cruisers. And it's things like that. There's a cohesiveness to the battle. Like like Lando saying red group, gold group, all fighters follow me. Like a couple like do join him as he flies under, or like they're heading for the medical frigate. They then fly under the medical frigate, and
I know that's a medical frigate because they say that
exactly. Well, and because Luke was getting his arm fixed up there. But yeah, like we see all of those sorts of things. I love it. I love it so much. Like you've got some.
We didn't get a space battle in Empire Strikes Back.
No, it was the dogfight. Yeah,
this is the first one since Star Wars. So
yeah,
they probably were really, really coordinating this one, which will get me excited about.
It was the only fleet battle that we got where you had like you had the fighters and you had people in the fighters. You had Lando and Wedge basically in the fighters giving that dialogue, and then you had Akbar and Piet on either side talking about the fleet, the scale of the fleet stuff. I love it so much. Like Piet is arrogant to begin with. He feels so confident. I feel like one change that I was thinking about it as you were talking about it, and as we were talking about the "it's a trap" moment. I feel like because they have to break off and like get around the Death Star because they're all heading straight for it. And as they get around, it's like the Star Destroyers are all just there. And it's like they've jumped in. They've just jumped in from the far side of the planet where they've like been hiding essentially. I feel like in later movies, like we would have seen them all appearing. Like poof, 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 poof.
Right.
Like we do in Rise of Skywalker or Rogue One. Rogue One's a perfect example, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been quite cool. And then you get the "it's a trap."
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, it's fine having them there because it's the more subtle, it's the sort of the creeping dread. But as a kid, I don't think I understood that they just jumped in. Yeah. It was like, how did they not notice them? They're right there. It's like they've been there the whole time. It's like, no, they were around the far side of the planet. I like
the Battle of Scarif. That's my favorite.
It's
space battle. The Hammerhead corvettes colliding, the ships colliding, the sort of shield generator that the X-wing bounces off because he couldn't pull up in time. Like all of that stuff.
The great stuff with that is that we get in atmosphere and out of atmosphere sort of fight. Like I think it probably is better, but I love this one more.
Right. Right. There's nothing. I don't think there's nothing better than Wedge and the Falcon flying on the surface of the Death Star before going in and then going in. Yeah, like all of that stuff. I don't know how they did that shit in 1983 or 82.
So good.
It's really good. And
the A-wing that comes up from the Death Star, like it gets hit on like it's part of that group, gets hit, and then he's like, "Fuck you, I'm taking out that guy because I can get there." And
but it gives me hope for Rogue Squadron.
I mean,
I'm really hoping it's coming out.
That's all we've got at this point for Rogue Squadron is hope and a prayer that it exists in some form, whether Pat Jenkins does it or not.
Because the thing with Rogue Squadron is you can't just have one dogfight.
No.
And you can't just have one dogfight in space. So it's like, what cool stuff are they going to come up with? Different sequences where, like, I love the trench run, but when I was a kid and I saw them go flight into the Death Star, I was like, whoa,
that's some cool
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got to come up with some pretty interesting locations and sort of
variations on how you keep that interesting, because it's like I'd eat it up. I'd watch that shit all day, but for an entire movie, you need different. You can't just do a space battle twice. You got to have something a bit different.
You have to fly into something
on planet, like in space. You got to have a bit of everything. It's great. The other fighters who fly in, we get TIE interceptors in this film as well. I love a TIE interceptor.
That's the new TIE for the movie.
Yeah, it was.
Every movie gets its own new TIE. Empire Strikes Back gets the TIE bomber.
New TIE and a new Stormtrooper. And this one's got my favorite. It's got the Scout Trooper, which is my favorite Stormtrooper variant. and the Interceptor, which is my favorite TIE variant.
Yeah.
Love them both. I feel like it's all these reasons are why this one sometimes, like, depending on the day of the week, I say it all the time, like, my movies, my ranking shuffles, but there are times when this one is up there as number one.
Right. Right. I think the last, well, I was going to say half, but it's more than half.
Yeah.
The Endor stuff, the Death Star stuff is some of my favorite stuff. Luke Skywalker's arc in this from Star Wars to this.
Yeah, how have we not talked about Luke and Vader?
It's my favorite Star Wars thing ever is Luke and Vader on the Death Star.
Yeah.
Hands down. There's nothing, not any space battle, not the Battle of Hoth, not the battle on Cloud City. When Vader says that he's going to turn his sister and Luke goes off, it is amazing. And you have the full chorus,
that music,
chorus doing the Emperor's theme because it, of course, wait, no, it does a couple things. It does the Force theme in full.
I think this film has two of my favorite themes. That bit and the space battle, the intensity of the like that whole.
Yeah.
I love that bit of music. But yeah, the way that the music kicks in with when Luke goes dark. Yeah. The more I watch it now, the more like it feels like no, this is Luke fully slipping. Like, and I like that. I think
this is the reason that moment and this everything with Vader and Luke is the reason why Luke's my favorite character. Just like him meeting up with Vader.
Lightsaber.
Yeah. My favorite lightsaber shifts around. I like the classic
that
Skywalker. Yeah.
The Skywalker
Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
But like their meeting on Endor is one of my favorite scenes where Vader's holding the lightsaber and he's like looking at it. And what's awesome is it's essentially a replica of Obi-Wan's.
Yeah. That's what I like about Luke's.
It's a little bit darker and this isn't as gold.
Mm-hmm.
But
you can tell what Luke was based on, and how Vader's is close to his old Jedi lightsaber in terms of look. So Luke and Vader's lightsabers are similar, and then this one is close to Obi-Wan's. It's more akin to that because that's what he's based on.
And as soon as he's looking at it, you can see it in the mask that he's just, I don't know. It's sparking something in his brain to where he mentions Obi-Wan and almost at that moment comes back to the side of good. He almost does it.
I feel like that. I mean, that scene is like, because Luke is so confident at that point to begin with, where he's just like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to talk him down and we're going to be fine. I don't need to fight him at that point. He's like, I'm not going to need to. I will confront him, but I don't need to fight him. And then he stood there and Luke just walks away and he just goes and leans on the railing. And it's like, wow, you're a prisoner right now, but you feel like you've got the upper hand until Vader's like, oh, no, child. You do not have the upper hand in this situation.
There's a line that doesn't make sense.
Which one?
But can be remedied. So the line from Vader is, Obi-Wan once thought as you two.
As you do, yeah.
Stops himself. They've never had a conversation about Luke.
Not yet.
So
no. I think the line is Luke Obi-Wan once thought as you do, as in like you can be turned back.
Oh.
That's how I think. I'm pretty sure the line is Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Got it.
I think.
I don't know.
which would make sense in the fact that like
yes,
because they did like even on Mustafar, like Obi-Wan was sort of saying, it's like, what, like,
is it do or two? Because I always thought it's a two.
I think it's as you
Because I
do.
feel like he was saying Obi-Wan once thought as you two, and then he stops himself about talking about Obi-Wan. Oh man, you're gonna do a quick search. Just fill in the dialogue, see what it says. Because I always thought he says as you two be a strong ally in the Force, to be to be a powerful Jedi. But I always thought he stopped himself from saying what is it ever he was going to say.
Yeah, it's Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Do? Okay.
Do.
All right. Well, that completely changes everything I thought of in the last
Sorry, Ralph.
40 years. No, it's fine. It's fine. But I always like that line because it definitely just saying Obi-Wan.
I've got a gif of it with the subtitles on.
Do.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it said two. And yeah.
Hey, everyone, I mean, we were talking about it as like, Lando isn't bored now. And
yeah, we'll see. But still, I'm curious to see what they do with the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they've all but confirmed that they will be having another fight. They will have an interaction. Like, I was very apprehensive of that to begin with. I thought if they're going to do this, have it be like through the Force. But it seems like they're going whole hog on having them meet again.
But I'm trying to think now I'm trying to think of the dialogue on the Death Star during the lightsaber battle with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Yeah.
It works so well with episode 3.
Yeah, it does.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. Yeah. That's one thing I trust Filoni on is
squeezing it in.
Retconning shit. Well, I mean, I hope they're not fighting over the frogs that eventually get sold to Jabba for him to eat. I don't need to see, I don't want them having a lightsaber duel over.
You don't need the Sliced Noodles episode where she's
over. I can't think of a single bad over Echo. I don't want them fighting over Omega.
Omega, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Or Hondo, or
I'd still be fine with Omega showing up in Book of Boba Fett. I'd be absolutely fine with that.
That's fine. I feel like those characters have a common goal.
Dad.
I don't think the Bad Batch needs to
be referenced.
Save.
What about Rex? Would you be all right with Obi-Wan and Rex interacting?
I feel like anything involving clones is fine.
Yeah. Because there was a rumor for a long time that Cody was going to be like one of the big bads of the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool with. Like Commander Cody basically having messed up and not killed Obi-Wan on Utapau as he was meant to is got to be sort of something that weighs on him. So having him basically hunting down Obi-Wan would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Still working with Vader, but not knowing that Vader was Anakin.
No, yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, we got to find out. Like, this was explored with Ahsoka in Rebels, and I think it would be really interesting to explore this in live action with Obi-Wan series. We see Darth Vader fighting and destroying all the Jedi, and Obi-Wan is there, and they're fighting each other. But Obi-Wan doesn't know that it's Anakin until they start fighting. Because we don't, when we leave Revenge of the Sith, we don't see Obi-Wan say, "Oh, Darth Vader is Anakin." He doesn't know that. They're going to have to come to. I'm thinking we're going to get that revelation on the show.
What, that Anakin slaughtered all the Jedi?
But as far as Obi-Wan knows, he left him on fire with no limbs in the middle of nowhere. He doesn't know he became the
he saw it when they
guy in the suit.
Oh, not the guy in the suit. No, he doesn't know he's the guy in the suit. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, he saw him slaughtering Jedi like as Anakin. Yeah.
But when we last left him, he was a fucking raisin on the beach.
I feel like that's going to be the first episode, is him being sort of almost haunted by visions of Anakin.
I feel like we can get the opening scene is Obi-Wan fighting this Jedi
guy in
killer.
Black. Yeah.
And then
basically a super inquisitor as far as he's concerned.
As they're fighting, realize who he's fighting. I think that would be great. And he'll be like, oh shit, Anakin's still alive. I thought he was the chosen one, and now he's this huge thing. Then goes into hiding. Because he might have dropped Luke off and just took off and been like, I'm gonna go, you guys got
safe there. Yeah, if I stick around.
Try to find other Jedi, and the other Jedi are like dead, and he's like, who's killing these Jedi? He finds this guy, fights him, and then realizes, oh shit.
Yeah, because like the Inquisitors would be known about by that point and stuff. So it's basically like the leader of them. So shit, I like that a lot.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. We know by episode 4
when he
that Vader is Anakin.
Yeah.
So
into it.
I'm excited for that series. Get fucking Jar Jar in there. But speaking of retcon and Captain Rex.
Captain Rexcon. Yeah.
Captain Rex is in this movie.
He is in this movie.
So weird.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. There's been a lot of talk, and I feel like Pablo has flipped and said like it is or it isn't. But why not?
It's in Rebels.
We don't see him. Like they say that he fought at the Battle of Endor, and I feel like there's a children's book that has him specifically. But then like there's been other times where it's said that he's not. I love it. Why not? Because he's also one of the guards that we see, like one of the rebels that we see put on Scout Trooper uniform. Yeah. Which is perfect. It makes so much sense. Like it works so nicely. The beard is there. It's obviously it's not Tamara Morrison, but like
that's what I was gonna say. If they have to, just put his head in there. They could do that.
Put Ten's face over it. I'd be cool with it, but I you don't need to. It's so minimal, but I love it. I love the idea that Rex is there with Han and Leia and Chewie and R2.
This is coming from me.
Rex and R2 like being back together on that ship would be fucking great. I love it.
But yeah, that's coming from me, a guy who who just said he doesn't want Filoni characters shoehorned into other stuff. But if it was there the whole time.
Yeah. That's just retconning the character of Rex and putting that character from Return of the Jedi in something earlier.
Yeah. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it.
I don't have much more to discuss.
No. Prunehead, the action figure Prunehead, I always assumed was someone from Jabba's palace, and it wasn't until like embarrassingly late that I realized that he was one of the rebel fighters.
Yeah.
And like when in the background, when you see someone walk past with the hood up, past Lando and Han talking about the Falcon, I always assumed that was Luke. But it's not. That is one of those prune heads. I feel like there was a couple of those. Yeah, they're great. They're cool. Don't see them enough, but it's only when you see them in the briefing room, I think, that I realized. Yeah, there's a couple of characters in that briefing room that got stories in. Well, there were characters written for books that they then retconned as being characters in that briefing room. They put a face to a character that they'd written in a book, and so now when I see those guys, I'm like, that's Gunnar Page. He's like the leader of those commandos, and I'm like, that's cool. That's really good. He's a character from one of the Thrawn books.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think I would recognize him.
Definitely not. Definitely
But
not. So
I think
like
it's
obscure
cool.
and
I think it's
background.
cool it exists, but yeah, I'm not gonna go read them.
One of the things that I like about the celebration party scene, because that was all filmed in I think was that one back in LA, but I know that they had to fly and at George's request they flew what's his chops into, because he was like, no, Wedge has got to be at the celebration, why wouldn't Wedge be here? But he wasn't like local to where they were filming it. They flew him in just to do that celebration scene with them.
That's great.
And it's like, that's honoring a character who's been there in every movie, in pivotal in every battle, sort of thing. Like it's brilliant. And the like the Wedge and Lando hug and stuff like that, I love the, yeah, it's great. Love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Lando clapping along is just the perfect way to end this movie.
It's tough. He's got a, I mean, we mentioned it on the John Williams thing, is like, you know, you can't sync this stuff up with the sound effects, and yeah. He probably wrote the music and then it got edited again.
And then they changed the music.
Yeah. All right. This is normally where I would pick a episode.
Yeah.
Or a follow-up. But no, we're not.
Not doing it.
We're not doing an episode in 2 weeks. We are covering the Book of Boba Fett.
Well, in 2 weeks there will be an episode.
Yeah, but that'll be chapter 2 of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So next week, Wednesday, in 1 week from today, we will be covering the Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Live.
Yep.
This is live.
Join us.
For those of you subscribed on YouTube, hit the bell icon. You'll know when we start going live. You could jump in the chat, add your 2 cents. We'll throw them up on the screen, respond to them.
We want you involved.
Show a lot more fun when we get more voices in the chat, because there's going to be stuff we miss.
Exactly. It's going to be like, this is going to be much more like instant reactions and stuff, because for one of us, the recording times of these episodes and the fact that we're doing them live, they're going to change week to week because of schedules. But for one of us, it'll probably be quite early in the morning, whether that's for Ralph or me, depending on the week. We'll have only just watched it when we start recording these. One of us will have probably watched it maybe a couple of hours earlier. Then the other one will have just watched it.
Right.
So we definitely need your voices and your input to make the show even better.
And then, so we're going to try to hit Wednesdays. I'm assuming we're going to be able to hit Wednesdays at some point. Chances are I'll watch them at, 5 a.m. on the West Coast of the United States. You may have the opportunity to watch them right as they drop at midnight, which would be 8 in the morning.
Disney Plus stuff doesn't seem to drop straight away. It's weird times. I'll be watching it as soon as I can, though. I mean, my work schedule's weird, but some weeks we'll be doing it like it'll be afternoon for the UK time, morning for West Coast time. Other weeks it'll be
we'll see,
evening and late night for me or whatever. But
and then I think what I'm going to do is we're going to try to hit the live shows on Wednesdays, the day they air. And then for you audio listeners who are listening to these shows through audio, those will be up Thursday.
Cool. So you don't have to wait long.
Yeah. And it'll give you sort of an incentive to come over and watch us live.
Definitely.
On the YouTube page. But I think so Wednesdays, a live show, Thursdays, the audio version, and hit that bell. The bell icon is the thing that's going to tell you exactly when we're going live.
We'll put up a schedule of like the time that we're planning to start on the socials that you can follow at Live Action SW everywhere. But like hitting the bell will literally notify you as we are live and going. That's the best one.
Cool. And you're not going to have to sit around on Tuesday, I don't think, and wonder when we're going to start. I think we're going to be able to have the thumbnails up early enough for you to be able to set your reminders and schedule your viewing. So, and even if you don't make it live, it'll be up here at liveactionstarwars.com, and you can watch every episode. I'm excited.
I can't wait.
It's been a while since we had new Star Wars, and especially live action.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good. But yeah, follow the socials, go to the website, follow everything there.
At Live Action SW across the board.
Yeah, it's nice and easy to find.
Right.
Have a lovely Christmas, everybody, if you celebrate.
Yeah, that's a couple days away.
It's a couple of days away. Hopefully you have done all your shopping. You've bought loads of cool Star Wars gifts for everyone. Yeah, we will be back next week to talk about the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Chapter 1 of the Book of Boba Fett, presumably.
I'm assuming they're going to call it chapter, especially if they're calling it the book. I know that they did chapters in
Mandalorian.
So.
They're really missing something if they don't call these ones chapters.
Right.
It'd be interesting if they came in at they should come in at like chapter 12.
Table of contents.
Modus operandi. No, persona, whatever it is, when you've just got a list of characters. First episode is just Tamora Morrison as Boba Fett. Ming-Na Wen.
Oh, man, that'd be so great.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you in a week.
See you next
Until
week,
next
everybody.
time, may the force be with you.
Boba Fett, where?